Yeah, indeed. In this book, I also touched about GMO, which genetically modified organisms.
Yeah.
I know from a developing world point of view, the moment you start talking about GMOs, they actually sort of associate it with obesity in the United States, where it is fully supported by the government. However, Zimbabweans, I know there were some questions last week with regards to the threat of indigenous seeds in Zimbabwe with the advent coming of GMO seeds. But let me also remind our viewers, Zimbabweans out there, that Zimbabwe has been using GMO seeds for a very long time, actually since 1940s.
Yeah.
Seedco, for example, the seeds that we buy from Seedco, I think our generation we remember the R201, drought-resistant seeds, R215, all those were genetically modified.
So being drought resistant,
yeah,
that it has been genetically modified.
Indeed.
So that it can thrive in a place where drought is a problem.
Indeed.
You see.
So currently, yes, I think you find even it has moved from the Seedco has moved from the R201, R215. Now we've got the SC43, SC47, SC411, scientifically modified seeds. And all these, some of them, like the 403, very specific, drought-resistant, early maturity, all that the seeds have been modified to give it that characteristics. And there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes seeds are modified to be disease resistant.
Yeah. Especially in Africa, where you've got a lot of diseases attacking the plants.
Indeed. So yes, from time to time, we experience pests which become so resistant to non-chemical pesticides. And eventually, through science and technology, we are able to genetically modify the seeds to be able to withstand those new pesticides, the new pests. So yes, so there's nothing wrong in its scientific form, the GMO.
Can I quickly answer a question from Tendai?
Okay.
He wants to know he wants me to define genetic modification.
Okay.
And also asking if it's the same as a hybrid. Now, the term hybrid is used for plants which have been genetically modified. Now, the difference between a genetically modified plant and a plant which has undergone, what do you call it? There's another method where naturally you take the plants, okay, and it's almost more natural than genetic modification. But genetic modification it's a more precise method, okay, where you're actually going straight into the DNA and making those changes, okay. Whereas with the hybrids, it could be that you've just taken a plant with the characteristics that you want and another plant with the characteristic that you want, and then you pair them together and you get something which is a hybrid. But with genetic modification, you are being more precise. Okay, you are going straight into the genes, and you are turning on and off some chromosomes just to ensure that you get the GMO that you want. So the problem with genetic modification is that it has people asking more questions because it is more like an immediate result that you get after you've done the manipulation. Whereas with the hybrid, they can take time because you are trying to use natural means of just taking two plants and cross-pollinating them together, so that what you get is something which appears more natural. But with genetic modification, you are going straight. You are just taking a plant and going straight into the nucleus, and you are modifying the genes. You are modifying the chromosomes inside the genes, so that you get a certain characteristic that you want.
Yeah, and also was there. In terms of GMO has got actually a different type of variants. It's not one form. So yes, this is why you find it can be engineered in plants. It can be engineered in animals, for example. So yes, there is also modifications that have got traditional characteristics, and I think this is what has always been the case, especially with seeds in developing worlds and indeed in various parts of the world. Even here in the UK, the UK itself, because it's bound by the EU laws,
yeah.
you find that there's that suspicion of GMO food and also GMO seeds in a way. But yes, they've got GMO seeds that they use here. The modification it's a different variant than the modification as we know it from the United States, because they do it specifically for mass production. And other countries, they do it either to counter the new pests or to make the crops drought resistant, or sometimes it's just to increase production in a way, but without a complete altering the DNA of the plants themselves.
Yeah.
So yes, and the question I think was whether our traditional crops are under threat from GMO. Of course, there is always a risk.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, there is a risk. I think
that's why our scientists need to be looking into.
Indeed.
They should be studying and looking at the potential risk, and also collecting empirical evidence.
Yes. Yeah.
As GMOs have been around for some time now, we should be having a wealth of evidence now to say this is how they have affected, whether they have affected or not affected the local plant.
And was there, I think even the United Nations have accepted that the need for GMO, and the United Nations again is sort of, it has always proceeded with care in the sense that it doesn't want to be seen to encourage GMO, and also it doesn't want to be seen to discourage GMO.
Yeah.
But we saw the last Sustainable Development Summit, which was in Paris, sometimes referred to COP21. They also came up with a pact, Article 20, in which they are going to help the developing world in innovating with the hope that they will be able to meet their food security quotas without necessarily importing GMO foods. And they were given 1 year to ratify the Article 20. And here I'm talking about the year started April 2016 and it will end April 2017. 133 countries so far out of the 197 have ratified. You'll be surprised that Zimbabwe is not ratified. We are about a month left and they've not ratified. Here is a situation whereby those countries which would have ratified will be supported in terms of financially, in terms of science and technology to innovate so that they can increase production and meet the quotas for their own national consumption and exports. But you would expect that a country like Zimbabwe, whereby we are now net importer of food because of shambolic land redistribution or invasion, call it whatever, by any means, but it is a land invasion in itself. You would expect that the Zimbabwe would embrace in its entirety the need for support from the United Nations, developed world, for innovation, science, mechanization, which comes with the ratification of the Article 20 of UN. Zimbabwe, up to now, has not ratified it. They signed on the day an intention to ratify, but that was it. Up to now, they've not ratified. It means we have 30 days now left, or less than 30 days, which means Zimbabwe might be left out. And I think it is at the end of their queue, especially given the scenario that Zimbabwe itself is being ruled by a 93-year-old president. I don't see him even envisaging. I don't think he remembers that he affixed a signature in Paris. I don't think he remembers. Not only that. And
so can you explain to the viewers what it means if a country ratifies? So besides getting support in terms of farming methods and stuff like that.
There's also technical cooperation, integrated technical cooperation at a global node, supported by United Nations. There's an organization which falls under UN called CSD, which is Commission for Sustainable Development. So they've got a budget to assist countries in terms of technical cooperation, in terms of funding. And so yes, we, by not ratifying, it means we have not accepted support or technical cooperation within a global node. So, which is, you would expect that any country would do that. There's no punitive measure where you might decide to say, well, maybe there's so much money that that country has to pay to United Nations. Instead, they will receive technical assistance for free. So we are saying, from a Zimbabwean perspective, that we don't need that technical assistance from developed world. We would expect that this is payback for the developed world to assist the developing world.
Now let's get into the book. Is there any pending question you want to address, or shall we get straight into chapter 1?
No, I think we have addressed the GMO, which I think that was the pending question. Yes, so that's. I don't have a question so far on my screen. I think people are listening. As it comes, then I'll pick the question.